Hello, yes, hello classes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, in whatever time you are listening to this video. So thank you so much. And for those who are currently burning the midnight oil, yes, hello, good evening. Ayan, I do hope that you are able to prepare well for your examinations. And of course, yes, not just in medtech laws, but also in your other subjects. Okay. And then forgive the dogs. They are barking and barking and barking. Okay. So, anyway, I do hope that you just concentrate on my voice and, of course, the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the side notes, which will be discussed, okay, or given for this particular video. Okay, so let's start. For this video, we are going to learn about your Republic Act number 5527. So this is an act requiring the registration of medical technologists, defining their practice, and for other purposes. Okay, so take note, class, that of course, just like for any Republic Acts, a Republic Acts for that matter, your 5527 started out as a bill. Okay, yes. So when RA 5527 was a bill, it is, or it was rather, referred to as your Senate Bill number 996. Okay, Senate Bill number 996. Okay, and as provided in Section 1 of RA 5527, this particular Republic Act may also be cited as the Philippine Medical Technology Act of 1969. Okay, so before we start discussing the different sections and provisions of RA 5527, let us try to review our knowledge about the enactment of laws, particularly here in the Philippines. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. All right. So enactment of laws here in the Philippines. So before we, daming before, many before, okay, before we start with the process, let us try to remember what are the different branches of government and what is their particular role when it comes to our laws. Okay, so yes, you can recite on your own. All right, what are the three branches of government? Okay, very good. So the first one, of course, is the executive branch. So when we talk about the executive branch, so this would include the president, the vice president, and the heads of the different local government units, such as we have our governors, we have our mayors, we have our barangay captains. So all of them, all of this public officials belong to the executive department. So another branch of the Philippine government is the judicial branch. Okay, so what are the different offices and public officials that belong to the judicial government? So of course, it starts with your Supreme Court. Okay, and the other justices which are in the Supreme Court. And then we also have the Court of Appeals. We also have our regional trial courts. And then, of course, we have our municipal trial court. So all of these offices and all of these public officials belong to the judicial branch of the Philippine government. And then lastly, we have the legislative branch. Okay, so legislative branch, this is the branch that is concerned about the enactment of laws or making laws in simpler terms. So when we talk about the legislative branch of government, so this would include the Congress of the Philippines. Congress. Okay, wrongness. Congress of the Philippines. Okay, yeah. So take note that the Congress of the Philippines has two houses. Yes, of course, it has two houses. So two houses or two chambers. Okay, yes, two chambers of the Congress of the Philippines. So the first chamber, yes, or the lower house or the lower chamber is referred to as the House. Yes, the House of Representatives. Representatives. Okay, so the House of Representatives, this is composed of the different congressmen. Okay, yes, the different congressmen or congress women. Okay, working in the House of Representatives, the lower chamber or the lower house. And then, aside from the House of Representatives, of course, we also have the upper house or the upper chamber, which is your Senate. Okay, the Senate of the Philippines. All right, so yan. So take note, yes, take note that the legislative branch of the government, particularly the Congress of the Philippines, it is vested with legislative power. So that means, okay, that means they are the ones who can make, okay, who can make laws or republic acts. Okay, nakuha, ayan. All right, so um, how will a particular law or a particular, hindi pa siya law it's not yet a law. How can a particular proposed legislation become a law? Okay, so let us try to look at the process. Ano ba ang, oh my God, yes, there's foreigner. Okay, hi, hello, I cannot speak in Tagalog too much. All right, yes. So the starting point of a particular law would be the proposals. In here, lobbying comes into play. So I do hope that you are familiar with the word lobbying. Okay, yes, all right. So we have the starting point. So we have proposals, okay, proposals and suggestions. Okay, we have proposals and suggestions coming from, yes, the following. We have the government, yes, that's correct. We have the different government agencies, so they can make proposals or suggestions to our Congress. Okay, apart from that, a proposal or a suggestion may also come from the president. So if you have watched the different sona of the president, so there are instances when he is trying to make suggestions or proposals. So what laws, yes, what laws are certified as urgent by the president? And of course, since the president does not have any power to make republic acts or to make laws, what he can do is to propose or suggest that a particular, yes, that a particular law is urgent. Okay, yes. So apart from that, apart from our government agencies and the office of the president, private individuals, yes, private individuals and interest groups. Yes, interest groups may also make their suggestions or proposals. Okay, yeah. So after the suggestions and proposals are made, so of course, a particular congressman or congressman or congresswomen or a particular senator has to, or senators for that matter, has to or have to make the bill. Okay, make a bill out of those proposals and suggestions. So depending upon which particular house is this particular bill filed, it may be referred to as a house bill if it is in the Congress of the Philippines, or in the, in the House of Representatives rather, or in the lower house, it is referred to as your House bill. However, if that particular bill is filed in the Senate, then it is referred to as your Senate bill. Just like for your RA 5527, it started out as a Senate bill. We have Senate Bill 996. Okay, yes. So the different bills, yes, the different bills, they are simply referred to as laws in the making because they are not yet laws. Why? Because they have not, why? Ang tagal, okay. Why? Because they haven't been approved yet by the chambers. So in order for a House bill or a Senate bill to be passed on, okay, passed on to the office of the president for signing and for approval, it has to be approved first by both chambers. Okay, yes, both chambers should approve the bill. So after approval, okay, of both houses, the proposed law will then be submitted to the office of the president for action. Okay, yes, for action. Yes, wait lang po. I will just make some annotations. Parang tsaka ng red, hindi siya masyado. Wait, I will just change this into what color? Kaya, ito na lang, this red. This red is okay. Yeah, that red is okay. Okay. So, okay. All right. All right. So after that, so again, if for example, the bill has been approval, so it needs approval of both chambers. Okay, and then after which it will now be passed on to the president. Okay, so the president can make several actions on a particular bill or on a particular proposed law. The president can either, yes, of course, approve. Yes, it can, it talaga, okay, he or she can approve the bill, and with that, it becomes a Republic Act or it becomes a law. Okay? Or the president may also veto the bill. Yes. The president may also veto the bill. So that means the president did not approve, non-approval, or did not approve the bill. All right. So will the bill end there? No, because the Congress, being the legislative branch of government, the president, the Congress may override. Override, rider, okay. May override the veto of the president by, yes, by garnering an average, by having, or yes, correct, by having 2/3 of votes. Okay, 2/3 of votes. So this 2/3, it encompasses both houses. Okay, yes, all right. Yan. So override the veto, you need 2/3 votes from the two houses. So say for example, there is no action. Yes, no action taken by the president for a particular bill. So if there is no action, action, yes, if there is no action within 30 days, no action within 30 days. Yes, wait a minute. Ayan. If there is no action within 30 days, so the bill, yes, the bill automatically becomes a law. All right, yes, the bill or automatically becomes a law. So once a law is passed, yes, with the approval, of course, of the Congress of the Philippines, as well as the office or the Philippine president, the law shall take effect, yes, 15 days after publication in the official gazette or in at least 2 national newspapers of general circulation. So, yes, ano ang next? What's the next step? So, the next step is to publish. Yes, to publish this new law or this new Republic Act. Yes. And then, the requirement for publication is either in the official, ganyan na lang ha, official Gazette of the Philippines, or take note, or in at least, oh my gosh, my annotation, dito na lang besh ha. Yes. Yan. All right, published in the official Gazette of the Philippines, or in at least two national, okay, national newspapers of general circulation. All right, ayan. So after publishing it, yes, the law shall take effect after 15 days. Okay, yes, the law shall take effect. Effectivity is after 15 days. Oh my gosh, there are too many. Ganyan na lang ha, class. All right, yan. So let's just try to summarize what we have already discussed. So again, it starts out as a proposal or a suggestion. So it will be deliberated in the Congress of the Philippines. So after which, yes, the bill, it is now referred to as the bill. The bill now should be approved by both chambers of the Philippines. Okay, so after which it will be passed on to the president. What are the actions of the president? Yes, number one, he or she can approve the bill and it becomes a Republic Act. Or the president may veto the bill and it needs a two-third vote in order to override the veto. Okay, so after garnering a vote of two-thirds from both houses, it becomes a law. And lastly, if there is no action within 30 days by the office of the president, the bill automatically becomes a law. Okay, so after that, yes, so you now have a law, you now have a Republic Act. So it has to be published in the official gazette or in at least 2 national newspapers of general circulation. Effectivity of that particular law or of that Republic Act begins after 15 days of publication. Okay, 15 days after publication. Okay, so yeah, so that is how we enact laws here in the Philippines. Okay, so let me just remove all of the annotations. All right, so a particular law, yes, may be referred to as either your act, or your Republic Act, or your presidential decree, depending upon the form of government in which the Philippines is in. Okay? Ayan. So first, we have your presidential decree. So take note that your presidential decrees, they are, yes, they are applicable if there is martial law. Yes, so meaning all of the Republic Acts which were promulgated, which were enacted or promulgated, so all of them were enacted during the martial law. Okay, yes, kasi baka I'm sorry, because it might be that later in your quiz or in your exam, it will be asked who oh my gosh, okay, yes, it might be asked in your quiz or in your exam later on who signed the particular law or the particular Republic Act or presidential decree. So in order for you to review SMART, of course, there was only one president, di ba, during the martial law, and that is Ferdinand Marcos. Okay, so yes, less effort on your part to remember everything, all of the signatories of your Republic Acts. Of course, if you see their presidential decree, then automatically it was signed by, yes, former President Ferdinand Marcos. Okay, so yeah. So during or if rather the form of government is democratic, yes, democratic form of government, just like what we have nowadays, then the law is referred to as your Republic Act. Okay, yes, the law is referred to as your Republic Act. Okay, so yan. All right. In addition to presidential decrees and your acts, okay, your Republic Acts, yes, by virtue of an executive number, and if you are going to look at the administrative code, okay, of the Philippines, Administrative Code of 1987, the Office of the President may actually promulgate executive orders. Yes. So what are executive orders? So executive orders, these are acts of the president providing for rules of a general or permanent character in implementation or execution of constitutional, or statutory powers, okay, shall be, sabi niya doon, promulgated in executive orders. Okay? Take note, class, ha? Take note. Your executive orders, they have the effect of a law, but it is not encompassing. That's why they are referred to as executive orders. So your executive orders, they may be issued in relation to a law by Congress, or based on the powers granted to the president in the Constitution, and must be consistent to those authorities. So that means your executive order, it only encompasses, okay, your executive branch. A good example is the executive order which was released by the Office of the President in relation to freedom of information. Okay, yes. Remember, we don't have a Republic Act that talks about the freedom of information. So it is only applicable to the executive branch of the government. Okay, so yan. Executive order is not as encompassing as an act or as a presidential decree, but it has, okay, the effect of a law. All right. And of course, if a particular person does not adhere to your executive orders, there are legal repercussions in that case. Okay, so yan. So after a particular law has been published, there are instances when there is a need for the government to provide your implementing rules and regulations. Okay, yes, there is a need for the government to provide implementing rules and regulations, which are referred to as your IRR. Yes. Shortly. In shortcut. Ano ba yun? Okay. Yes. Otherwise referred to as your IRR. So your IRR, it is not drafted by the Congress of the Philippines. Okay. It is actually drafted by an administrative agency under the executive branch following, wait lang po sa, ayan. Okay, following the enactment of a particular law. Okay, yes. There are instances when our Republic Acts or even our presidential decrees, they don't contain details. Yes, they do not contain details as to the implementation of that particular Republic Act or of that particular presidential decree. And so there is a need to craft your implementing rules and regulations which actually contains the details on how a particular Republic Act is to be implemented. So again, your IRR, it is not crafted by the Congress. It is crafted by an administrative agency under the executive branch. Okay, what are examples of agencies which already has come up with implementing rules and regulations? Of course, a very good example is the Department of Health. So in the case of your clinical laboratory law, if you're going to look at it, it only contains few provisions, few sections. And if you're going to look at the sections and provisions of your clinical laboratory act or law, it's not detailed. So like, how are we going to implement this? Okay. So of course, since the lead agency in the implementation of that particular Republic Act or law is the Department of Health, it is the Department of Health which will craft your implementing rules and regulations. Okay. Yes. Very important. The implementing rules and regulations so that we would know. We would know. Yes. Okay. So later when we talk about the different Republic Acts, you will be able to appreciate. Yes, the different implementing rules and regulations. Okay, yes, one slide, 27 minutes. Okay, yes, okay. Dibale, what's dibale in English? Anyway, yes, anyway, for the next slides, it's gonna be like fast, fast, fast. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. All right, pertinent laws in medical technology. Okay, what are the different pertinent laws? And in the practice of our field, in the practice of our field. So first, of course, we have the labor law. Yes, sometimes it is referred to as the labor code of the Philippines. Since we are going to be professionals, I'm sorry, ano ba yan? We are going to be professionals in the future. Of course, we are also bound by the labor code of the Philippines. So take note that the labor law, it determines all employment practices and labor relations in the Philippines. So since we will become part of the labor force of the Philippines, okay, we are, yes, under the labor law. Yes. Okay, so examples would be what are the benefits of being an employee, being a medical technologist in the future, so on and so forth. Okay, and then another, we have your criminal law. This is referred to as the revised penal code of the Philippines. And from the term penal, so this contains the general penal laws of the Philippines. Pag sinabi mo kasing, okay, sorry, okay. If you are going to say penal law, okay, or penal code, it contains imposition of penalties. From the term penalty, we have the penal code, okay? Penalties for conducts or actuations that are prohibited by the state. And in our case, prohibited by the Philippines. Okay, yes. So these are crimes or offenses which are penalized here in the Philippines. Okay, criminal law. Of course, if you are going to do something bad in the future, then that will be subject to your criminal law or the civil or the revised penal code. Another, we have civil law of the Philippines. Yeah, so when we say civil law of the Philippines, these are general laws that governs family and property relations. So actually, under your civil law, we have there the family code of the Philippines. Okay, nandoon po siya sa civil law of the Philippines. In comparison with your criminal law, the civil law seeks to compensate the harmed. Yes, so that's why it talks about or it governs relations. Okay, yes, all right. Another, we have Bill of Rights. Yes, Bill of Rights. So it guarantees civil rights and liberties enshrined in the Constitution of the Philippines. It contains the laws of the land. What are your rights? What are the rights of Filipino citizens? The right to vote, diba? Right to freedom of speech. Okay, so all of them are enshrined in the Bill of Rights. Okay, so apart from that, of course, we also have other rules or regulations or guidelines that we have to follow as part of our professional career later on. So a good example of the code of professional ethics, which you will be memorizing come midterms, okay, by midterms, yes. So we also have to adhere to this code of professional ethics. Okay, and of course, we also have the different rules and regulations and guidelines which are promulgated by the professional organizations, particularly if you are going to be members later on of these professional organizations, such as we have PAMET, yes, and of course, we have ASMEF. So all of these are pertinent laws or pertinent rules in relation to the practice of medical technology here in the Philippines. Okay, so let us try to, yes, also be familiar with the evolution. Evolution, okay. With the evolution of Republic Act 5527. Was it already amended? Were there sections that were repealed? So on and so forth. Okay, so first, we have, of course, Republic Act 5527. So again, this is an act requiring the registration of medical technologists, defining their practice and for other purposes. So effectivity of this particular Republic Act was on June 21, 1969. Okay, so following your Republic Act 5527 is Republic Act 6138. So this is an act to amend certain sections of Republic Act 5527. So effectivity. So this became effective August 31, 1970. So in particular, what were the sections amended? So later we will talk about that. Okay, so after that, we have your Presidential Decree 498 and it amended a lot of sections in your RA 5527. Okay, so yeah. So in particular, it amended 11 sections. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 13, 16, 17, 21, and 29. So it was enacted on June 28, 1974. And of course, lastly, we have Presidential Decree number 1534. It further amended RA 5527 as amended by previous Republic Act and the previous Republic Act and of course your PD 498 enactment was on June 11, 1978. Okay, so in particular, what were the different sections amended by this RA and presidential decrees? For your RA 6138, it amended the following sections. We have 16, 21, and 22. Okay, so another, we have PD 498. So yes, by the way, section 16 is on qualifications for examination. 21 is on issuance of certification, and then section 22, that's on fees. For Presidential Decree number 498, It amended the following: Section 2, definition of terms; Section 3, Council of Medical Technology Education; Section 4, which is the compensation of the council; Section 7, MedTech Board, yes, Medical Technology Board. Okay, and then Section 8, parang ang dami. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Yes, qualifications of examiners, 11, functions and duties of the board, 13, accreditation of schools of medical technology, 16, qualifications for examination, 17, the scope of examination, 21, issuance of certificate of registration, and then 29, their penal provisions. Okay, and then for the last amendment, we have Presidential Decree 1534. It amended the following sections. We have 3, 8, and 13. Council of Medical Technology Education, qualification of your examiners, accreditation of schools of medical technology, respectively. Okay? Yan. So now let us discuss the different provisions of your RA 5527. So starting off with Section 1. Okay, yes. I think in general, Section 1 would always provide the title. Okay, so say for example, Section 1 of RA 5527 is or talks about blank. Okay, always it's the title. Okay, for the different Republic Acts. Ayan, so that you don't really have to put so much effort on memorizing. So like for example, try to look at generalizations of our law, right? Yes, of course, because Section 1, that's always the title. So just like what I have mentioned a while back, so this particular section talks about the citation. How are we going to cite your RA 5527? So again, I mentioned this already at the beginning of our video. So this act may also be cited as the Philippine Medical Technology Act of 1969. So this is provided by Section 1 of RA 5527. Okay, so let's move on. So another section, we have Section 2. So this talks about the definition of terms. So again, what particular law amended Section 2? Yes, very good. Yes, very good. So we have Presidential Decree 498. Okay, amended by 498. So the first one, actually, this is the only definition that was amended. We have practice of medical technology. Oh, by the way, what is the significance of amendments? Okay, I think I forgot to mention. So take note that if a particular section or provision of a Republic Act or a presidential decree is amended, that means the amendment that was made becomes the one that we follow. Yes, it is the amendment that becomes applicable. So that means whatever provision is provided, whatever provision is stated in a section or in a clause or in a paragraph of your RA 5527, if it has already been amended, that section does not or is not applicable. Okay? Ano yung magiging applicable? What becomes applicable now? The one that is applicable now would be the amendment, of course. Okay? When we say amendment, it pertains to the modification of a particular provision or of a particular section of a Republic Act or a presidential decree for that matter. I hope that's clear. Okay? So in Tagalog, yun na ang sinusunod natin. That is the one that we follow already. The amendment. Okay? All right. If you are going to look at Section 2 of the original 5527, letter A is medical technology. It's not practice of medical technology. Okay, yeah. So I will be discussing that. I will be providing a discussion of the difference. Okay, so ito lang. This is the only term that was amended as part of Section 2. So instead of medical technology, now it is defined, or it is referred to as the practice of medical technology. Yes. So what does this particular term mean according to Section 2 of 5527? A person shall be deemed to be in the practice of medical technology within the meaning of this act, who shall, for a fee, salary, or other compensation or reward paid or given directly or indirectly through another, renders any of the following professional services for the purpose, ang haba besh, okay, for the purpose of aiding the physician in the diagnosis, study, and treatment of disease, and in the promotion of health in general. Okay, so what are the things that we have to be concerned about when it comes to this particular term? So it says there, who shall, okay, for a fee. You have to have a fee. You have to have a fee. You have to be you have to be given a salary or other compensation or reward. Okay, so that means when we say for a fee or salary, of course that pertains to monetary. For compensation, hindi, no. Because compensation may be in the form of like reward, right? Or it may not necessarily be monetary. Okay, so yan. So a fee, salary, compensation, or reward. So that means it may be monetary or it may also be not monetary for that particular provision of this section. Okay, paid or given, given directly or indirectly. Okay, so yes. So again, not all our services are given monetary rewards or monetary compensation. So sometimes the compensation or the reward is not monetary. Okay, all right. So just to clarify ha, baka mamaya, baka later, where's the monetary compensation? No, it does not necessarily mean monetary. Okay, right. So what are the job description? Yes, description, or what do we do in, yes, what do we do in the laboratory? So may I just put it all here? Disappear. Okay, appear. All right. Examination of tissues, secretions, and excretions of the human body and body fluids by various electronic, chemical, microscopic, bacteriologic, hematologic, serologic, immunologic, nuclear, and other laboratory procedures and techniques, either manual or automated. So by the way, class, I advise that you have a copy of the one that I sent via our Google, via our group chat, so that you can make necessary annotations or side notes. Okay. Yes. Another, blood banking procedures and techniques. Another, parasitologic, mycologic, and microbiologic procedures and techniques. Okay, another. Oh, there are a lot of things that we do. Sorry for the numbering. I was not able to change it. Okay, so others, yes, we have histopathologic and cytotechnology. Yes, but there is a provided there. Yes, the provided provisions, these are actually very important for us to understand. Yes, the entire meaning of that particular section or law. Okay, so wait ka lang ha. Yes, later, yes. Later, we will actually be defining also your medical laboratory technician. Okay, provided that nothing in this paragraph shall inhibit a duly registered medical laboratory technician from performing histopathologic techniques and procedures. Okay, yes. So that means your technician the work of a technician is different from the work of a medical technologist in relation to this particular procedures. We have your histopathologic and cytotechnology. Okay, yes, yes. That's the importance of this particular provision of the law. There is a delineation, okay, as for the work of a medical technologist from that of a medical laboratory technician, which we will be discussing also as part of section 2 later. Okay, another clinical research involving patients or humans or human beings requiring the use of and or application of medical technology knowledge and procedures, preparations and standardization of reagents, standards, stains, and others provided. It says there that such reagents, standard stains, and others are exclusively for the use of their laboratory. So that means you cannot just prepare your reagents. Okay? It has to be in connection with your work in the laboratory. All right. Yes, as a medical technologist, you can just not just prepare it. Oh, I want to prepare this reagent and take it home so that I can test my. No, you cannot do that. Okay, it has to be in connection with your work for the use in the laboratory at which you are working. Okay. Another, we have clinical laboratory quality control. All right. And of course, last, I'm not sure if this is the last, collection and preservation of, okay, balik tayo, collection and preservation of your specimens. Okay, so all of these are the works, yes, or jobs of medical technologists. There is another provided, there is another provision there at the end of this particular term, provided, it says there, that any person who has passed the corresponding board examination for the practice of a profession already regulated by existing law shall not be subject to the provisions of the last four preceding paragraphs if the performance of such acts or services is merely incidental to his profession. Meaning, okay, it's it actually this particular provision hirap mag-English. Okay. Actually, it actually this provision, okay, at the end of the practice of medical technology definition, um it says here that other professions, yes, other professions, provided that that profession is regulated by a certain law here in the Philippines, they are not subject. Okay, sige, balikan natin to the last four. So that means clinical research, preparation, laboratory quality control, collection and preservation of specimens. So these four works of a particular medical technologist, they are not exclusive to medical technologists. Okay, so that means other professions, or yeah, other professions, they can also perform the last four. Okay, so it removes the exclusivity of this, yes, of this, wait lang, lagyan ko ng ano, so that, okay, it removes the exclusivity of these procedures, okay, as part of the work of a medical technologist. So that means it is not only the medical technologist who is allowed to perform this for, right? Yes. Yes, it's not only for medical technologists. Other professions can also perform this. Like, for example, clinical research. Is it an exclusive job to your medical technologist? No. As long as you are allowed by your profession, you are allowed by existing laws here in the Philippines to perform clinical research, then by all means, perform clinical research. Collection and preservation of specimens. Is this performed by medical technologists only? No. There are instances when physicians, when nurses can also collect and preserve specimens. Okay, like for example, in the collection of your specimen for drug analysis, there is a trained personnel for that. It is not exclusive to medical technologists. Okay, yes. And actually, that is also true in the preceding. Yes, dito na portion. It is also true in the preceding, in this particular provision. Preceding provision. Okay, yes. It removes the exclusivity. Okay, because histopathologic and cytotechnology procedures, it may be performed by a laboratory technician. Okay, nakuha? It's not only your medical technologist alone. Okay, it's not exclusive to medical technologists. It may also be performed by medical laboratory technicians. All right, so it removes the exclusivity. So that is the purpose of this provision yang provided. Okay, and also that is the I'm sorry, why are there boxes there? Okay, that is also the purpose of this provision. Nakuha? I do hope you understand because some of the questions will come out in the exam. So it's situational. Okay, so in comparison, so we have to compare the previously defined term in section 2 of your RA 5527 as compared to the amendment that is made in your Presidential Decree 498. Okay, so again, just like what I mentioned previously, the term medical technology, so it's already amended and it is now your practice of medical technology. Okay, yes. So if we compare your new definition, the amendment, it was necessary in the case that it became more detailed, okay? It became more encompassing. All right. Why? Because medical technology, as provided by Section 2 of your RA 5527, it is merely defined as an auxiliary branch, and you have there the different laboratory examinations that is included in the practice of medical technology, like chemical. Okay, we have chemical, what else? Microscopic, bacteriologic, and other medical laboratory procedures and techniques. So as you can see, it's not really detailed. Okay, and of course, because of the different developments that took place in this particular profession, there was a need in order to provide a more comprehensive definition of the practice of medical technology. Okay, so what was retained in the definition? The one that was retained is, of course, the one that I indicated here, which will aid. That was the previously used phrase. In the new amendment, or in the amendment, it says they're aiding the physician in the diagnosis, study, and treatment of disease, and in the promotion of health in general. So that means the ultimate goal of the profession is still the same. It really did not change. It's still the same, to aid in the diagnosis, okay, study and treatment of your diseases, so that the entire medical group is able to promote health in general. So it stays the same. Okay? Yes, of course. So now let us go to the other terms which were defined. Yes, very good. Section 2. Isang oras na. All right, next we have pathologists. Okay, a duly registered physician who is specially trained in methods of laboratory medicine, or the gross and microscopic study and interpretation of tissues, secretions, and excretions of the human body and its functions in order to diagnose diseases, follow its course, determine the effectivity of treatment, ascertain cause of death, yes, to know the cause of death, and advance medicine by means of research. So that means a pathologist Number one, of course, the pathologist has to be a physician or a doctor. So in addition to being a physician or a doctor, this physician or doctor, he or she has to undergo training. Okay? Not all doctors are pathologists because being a pathologist requires additional training. Additional training as required by the law. Okay, yes. All right. So later on, we will be able to differentiate what a pathologist is and what a physician is when we go to your clinical laboratory. Okay, so I repeat, a pathologist, uh, he or she is a registered physician and of course with proper training, who has undergone training, okay, to become a pathologist. All right, so another definition, we have medical technologist. So what is a medical technologist? Lumalaki talaga. Okay. A person who engages in the work of medical technology under the supervision of a pathologist or a licensed physician authorized by the Department of Health in places where there is no pathologist. So that means a medical technologist cannot work on his own without the supervision of a pathologist or a licensed physician. Okay, so take note that in some parts of our country, particularly if we are going to consider far-flung areas, there are areas that do not have any pathologist. Okay, so in that case, what the Department of Health did is to authorize physicians, okay, authorized physicians to head laboratories only when there is no pathologist that is available in that particular area. Can we call this physician as a pathologist? No, still no. Because remember, a pathologist, a physician with training to become with training in pathology. That's a pathologist. But if you are a physician and you want to head a laboratory or you want to manage rather a laboratory, you may get a certification or a license from the Department of Health in order for you to do so. Okay, yes. But even if you have that license or that authorization from the DOH, still you are not referred to as a pathologist. If you want to be a pathologist, you have to undergo the proper training that is required. Okay, all right. So again, a medical technologist cannot work alone or cannot work without the supervision, cannot work without the supervision of a pathologist or a licensed or authorized physician. Okay, yes. So before a medical technologist can work as such, so he or she should have passed the prescribed course. So that means a course in medical technology or a course in hygiene. It may also be a course in public health. Okay, yes. Of training, prescribed course of training and examination and is registered an examination and pass the prescribed course of training, pass the examination and is registered under the provisions of this act. Okay, so that means after you have graduated and undergone the training as part of your internship program, the next thing that you have to do is to pass the examination or the licensure or the board examination for medical technology. And then after that, you have to be registered. Okay, yes, it does not end on passing. You have to be registered, duly registered medical technologist. So later, we will be discussing what are the steps that have to be taken by a person who has passed the licensure examination or the board examination. Okay, yes. All right, so may I just remove this? And then another definition of term or another term defined is your medical laboratory technicians. Okay, so take note that a medical laboratory technician, it has to be certified and registered by the board. So later, again, we will be discussing how can a person become a medical laboratory technician. So in particular, the work of a medical laboratory technician is to assist a medical technologist and or pathologist. So this is the one that I really want that I really want to emphasize a while back when we were discussing the provisions of your first definition. All right. So again, it says here, a medical laboratory technician can assist. So that means, can a medical laboratory technician perform or help in the performance of certain procedures in the laboratory? Yes. But of course, yes. Hindi mo pwedeng tanggalin yan sa kanila because it is being defined here as part of your RA 5527. You cannot take it away from them. Oh, okay. All right. Ano ba yan? You cannot take it away from them. Okay, yes, provided that they are supervised by a medical technologist or a pathologist or a pathologist. Okay, yes, so they can help in assisting you perform certain procedures in the laboratory. Okay, can a medical laboratory technician do his or her job without the medical technologist? Yes. Okay, provided that there is a pathologist, that there is a pathologist whom your medical laboratory technician is working with, okay, in the laboratory. Kasi and or yan eh. Alright, so medical laboratory technician, it talaga. He or she can help a medical technologist. He or she can help a pathologist or both. Okay? Yes, or both. Ayan. All right. So other definitions, accredited medical technology training laboratory. So this is a clinical laboratory, office, agency, clinic, hospital, or sanitarium approved by the DOH or its authorized agency. Okay, later we will discuss this. Recognized School of Medical Technology. This is a school, university, or college that offers a medical technology course approved by the DOE. DOE is your Department of Education. So remember that this was crafted prior to the formation or the establishment rather of your Commission on Higher Education. Okay, so that's why during those time, the agency that is responsible in approving schools, universities, or colleges to offer medical technology course is the Department of, or was rather, the Department of Education, upon the recommendation of the Council of Medical Technology Education. So later we will also be discussing the council. Okay? Council, yes, council. This is otherwise referred to as the Council of Medical Technology Education. So, but of course, for the purpose of making the provisions shorter or simpler, they may simply be, they may simply be referred to as the council. Okay, another is board. This pertains to the Board of Examiners for Medical Technology. Okay, yeah. So again, for the simplicity of the provisions which are provided in this Republic Act, they may simply be referred to as the board. Okay. All right. So now let us move on to Section 3, and this talks about the Council of Medical Technology Education, its composition. Okay, so I think I would have to end here so that, of course, you will not get bored in listening with me if it's gonna be too long. So I will be I will be including this in the next video. So I do hope that you learned something from this discussion. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. And I know, right? I know, right? Okay, ang bagal ni Madam. No, that is just really me because I don't want to leave Any stone? Oh, any stone unturned. Okay, so I just want to, yeah, to have the best out of the discussions. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. I'll see you again in the next video. Yes, surprise, surprise. Bye. 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 Bye, class.